Hello guys and welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be working on the cave entrance that we have right before us with the aim of making it look like the eye of a dragon. In order to do this we're going to add some pillars here on the left and the right side in order to accentuate the entrance and make it a little bit darker. And after that we're also going to be terraforming the ground right below here, so we have the entirety of the eye, because right now we only have one part of it and we're going to need both halves. Finally, we're also going to be adding some terraforming here to the rest of the cave, because I do like how it is right now, but I think it could be a little bit better. So that's also something we're going to work on. And of course, finally, we're going to add some decorations inside of the cave entrance here to really make it look like the eye of a dragon. And that is going to be done with the use of some stained glass and things like that, and a little bit of lighting so we get the iris really popping here. Now, as you can hear, there's quite a few things that I want to do today, so let's get to it. We do have some guests here inside of the cave entrance, so let's get rid of them first. And there's probably some on the other side as well here, since there's only two here. So if we just check, yeah, they're up there, but they can stay there. I don't really mind. Now, the last episode we built the front of this cliff here, and that means that there's a lot of materials that are still left over, but we do have some that have run out, and we do have a couple more materials that I want to gather, just so we have a little more variance in the front, because right now it's looking a little bit monotone. Now, some of these here that we're going to have together is andesite, some tuff, and we're also going to be adding in some smooth basalt, which is not something I've done too much of in this world. We're also going to be using some dripstone blocks, which I think is a really cool block with a lot of nice texture on it. And finally, of course, a little bit of mud to make some darker points in the build as well. Now, of course, that's not all the materials that we're going to be using, but we do have a lot of cobble, deep slate, stone, moss, and things like that already, so we don't really have to gather those. Now, with that said, let's get some food here out of the furnaces that I've prepared, and let's head into the caves to get the materials that we need. Now, first up here is the andesite, which is a nice complementary block to smoothstone, which is a block that's really dominant in the build that we have right now. And yeah, I think I just like it in all its facets. 3 stacks here should do the trick. That's very nice. Next up is the tuff, so let's go find some of that. Now, I know in the last episode I did say that I didn't really like the tuff block as a part of the gradient that we used for the cliff, but I think I've changed my mind after a bit of pondering, and I think it could really fulfill its purpose here on the cliff today. And once again here, about 3 stacks should do the trick. Now, I think there's 3 ways to get smooth basalt, which is a block that we're going to get next up here. And we can either get it from the nether, or we can get it from a farm if we build one of those, or there's a final method to get it, and that is through the use of an amethyst geode, which we do have right here. Let's take a look. Yes, this is indeed smooth basalt. It's also good to know that this is here, in case we do need calcite at some point further down the line. Now, I don't think we'll quite need 3 stacks here of smooth basalt, but it doesn't really hurt to pick up a little bit extra, just in case. And we do have some dripstone blocks right here, which is pretty convenient since that's a block we're going to need to pick up here. It's almost as if I knew that all the blocks that we're going to need here were in this direction down here in the cave. In other worlds, dripstone is actually something I've really struggled to find. I've searched far and wide in some saves for it, and in other saves you just find it everywhere. And this is one of the worlds where it's really abundant. So that's pretty fortunate for us here today. Now, I do plan on picking up quite a bit more than we'll need, since that also allows us the possibility of building a farm further on. So both dripstone blocks and pointed dripstone is going to be picked up. Now, that's about 3 stacks of dripstone blocks, so let's just pick up some of the pointed dripstone here as well. Alright, so the final block was mud, and we can't quite pick that up down here, so let's head back up. Now, this does actually give us the opportunity to go into the mud cave, which is not somewhere I've been for quite a while. It used to be our storage room back in the day, but we've got a real one now, so things have changed a little bit. Now let's turn all this dirt into mud. I think this should do the trick, so let's dig it all up. Alright, so the materials have all been gathered, and I've brought them over here to the ever-expanding chest monster. And they're in this chest, and as you can see, we have a lot of grey blocks, and then also some darker blocks as well, so we have sort of a small gradient, but we're not going to be using it as a gradient. We're going to be adding in some splashes here and there and use some of the darker colors to sort of accentuate some shadows and some depth into the rock. And yeah, I'm pretty excited to get going on that. So there's not much more to say, so let's get to building. Alright, so the pillars are all finished up here, and I quite like how they turned out. I think some of the color work that we've done is really good. For example, the sort of transition between the mossy cobblestone and the tough blocks is very nice, and once you get a little bit further away, they blend in quite seamlessly actually. Of course, we also have some blocks that are made to stand out a little bit, for example the dripstone block here. And yeah, we've done some patches of that as well, and I think it's pretty good all in all. Now, I've also tried to, as I mentioned, put some of the darker colors into crevices to sort of make it feel like they're a little bit deeper than they might appear. Of course, there are also some black spots just dotted around, but I tried it down here at least, and that was actually a change I made compared to what you guys saw in the time lapse, because I felt that this was an opportunity to sort of use that. Now, I've also, as you can see here up by the front that I decided to do as well, remove some of the blue clay, because it was a nice attempt, but it stood out a little too much compared to especially the pillars here that we have now created. So I think that's a change for the better. Now, with that said, what we are going to do next up here is dig this down a little bit deeper so we get the eye shape that you would expect like a dragon to have. And after that, we're going to do some work here on the interior with some, a couple deep slate, some normal deep slate and smooth basalt as well. And that basically is that we're going to make the top here very dark, as it already is using some cobble deep slate, but we're going to remove the light gray concrete here and place down some either cobble deep slate or just normal deep slate. And then along here, some of these edges, we're going to use smooth basalt to sort of give the illusion that light sort of is coming in to the sides here, because yeah, that would make sense. But at the top here, things are very dark because these spots up here, they, as you can see, they're also very dark in game, right? They barely get hit by light. Now, the plan is for this interior here to be quite precise, because the lighting has to be just right for this to look authentic. So I have prepared that already in the testing worlds that I'm gonna just build in here. But the bottom side here of this is very much up for our interpretation, so we're gonna build that together. Now, with that said, let's get to building. Alright, so I think the entrance here has come out pretty well so far. And yeah, I've made sort of a staircase here, which is the view that we're gonna be seeing the entrance from, because we're gonna be doing a lot of terraforming over here. So there's a stream that's gonna be traveling down here, and then it's gonna be traveling under a bridge that we're gonna build later on. And yeah, that is the bridge that we have to cross. So we're gonna get this view every time we head towards the cave or the other side of the river. So I'm pretty excited about that. Now, what we're gonna do is that we have to build the rest of the sort of central part of the eye, right? And that's the little part here that I've left out so far. And to do that, we're gonna have to go to an amethyst geode. I know we've just been there, but we have to go back, and then we're also gonna get some candles and some stained glass to sort of really make it stand out. So that's the idea. So let's go get it. Now, right over here we have the beehives. That should be the candles sorted pretty easily. Let's try not to anchor any of the bees here. That should be enough. We're also gonna need some flowers, so we can move a couple around. Like that. Then we're also gonna need some blue dye, which we can get via lapis, so that shouldn't be too big of a deal. And of course it started to rain, so let's head into the cave. Alright, here we go. Now we just gotta retrace our steps from earlier. It could be nice to find some lapis on the way there, but otherwise we can just get some from the storage room upstairs. And here we are. Just gotta take care of that creeper real quick. And I think we have a natural entrance over here into the geode. Yes, we do. So let's pick up some of the blocks here. And not destroy any of the central parts here, because that's the parts that generate the crystals. So they are hard to replace. I think that should do it. Let's see if there's any lapis here nearby. There is up here actually. That's convenient. Oh, okay. We shouldn't use the silk touch pickaxe for this. Here we go. And that should be enough. And some red dye as well, and we can get some purple dye. That's nice. Let me just pick up these blocks here, and we can head back up. I think we might as well head into the storage room. That's a little bit easier. We have some string there and some slate as well that we'll need for the candles and for the stained glass, so It's a bit easier that way. Here we are. I really should fix these things. They're not in the state that I want them to be in. Actually, we do have a little bit here. Maybe we can just... How does this work? There we go. And wax it. Nice. Slow and steady progress. Eventually, everything will be in the state that we need it to be. And now we just gotta wait a little bit. Actually, we don't have any string. The string was supposed to be in here. That's a bit of an issue. Alright, let's craft it up here. And that should be enough of those. And we'll need some black dye as well, because I think I want a few black stained glass as well. And there we go, nice. And now we just gotta go get some string. I do hope we have some over at the chest monster here. Otherwise, we're gonna have to wait for it to be night again. A little bit here, but not much more. Well, that's unfortunate. We're gonna have to go get some string then, when night comes. Now, while we're waiting for the darkness to fall, I wanted to tame these parrots here. So, I think that's done. Can you follow me, buddy? Okay, nice. So we have him with us now. And I think there's one more over here that I wanted to tame as well. And teleports as well, I wasn't sure. I think that's actually the first time I've ever tamed a parrot. Oh yeah, there is here, okay. Right next to the iron golem. There we go, now we have two. Anyways, let's get them situated here over the chests. So, nothing bad happens to them. Right, you can sit right there. And you, buddy, can you land for a minute? Right there as well, nice, thank you. Now we have parrots. That's new for me, so that's pretty cool. Oh, there's one more here. Do you want some seeds? This guy does not want some seeds. What's going on? There we go, okay. Maybe they have to look at you like before you can do it, because that guy, he just ate half a stack of seeds. Okay, night is falling. Let me quickly get the last parrot over here to the other guys, so we have some company. Alright, now what I'm thinking is that we're gonna head out over to the savannah, just a little bit away, so I don't get like massive amounts of creeper holes from the ensuing battle here that we have to do with the spiders. Okay, and of course it rains, so it makes even more sense to go over to the savannah, where we can't see the rain. Okay, here we are. Now, I'll spend the entire night fighting the spiders, and we'll see how much string we get. Alright, so we managed to pick up 19 string, and that means that we can make 19 candles, so now we just gotta color them in a little bit, and we can take a look at the iris that we wanted to build. First of all, we could get rid of that torch that was right there, and we can place down some black candles here. I think 2 does the trick, but I can now see that I have to go get some flint and steel, so I'll be right back. And I'm right back, so let's light it up here. And put down the black stained glass. And I think that's just gonna illuminate things a little bit. Not too much, but just like enough to give some ambience to the room, right? And along with this, we have to now build the iris. And now the way we're gonna do that is by placing down some purple candles here. And then just have them like illuminate things slightly again, right? And then of course, fill all this in with the purple amethysts here. And some stained glass on top. Just to sort of give it a little bit more texture. We'll try something like this, and then now we have to head out and take a look, right? It's like a lot of trial and error creating these things. And already I think that's like some oddities to it, right? Like maybe it shouldn't have been paints, but just like normal glass instead. But let's go up here onto the pillar and take a look. Alright, so this doesn't look that bad actually, but I do think full glass blocks would look a little bit better. So let's just go get some of those. And let me just clean this up while we're at it. And wax it as well. Small steps, guys. At some point, all of my builds will be finished. Alright, there we go. And now we have the blocks. Now let's see if the full blocks are any better. So something like this here. I'm debating whether this one adds an improvement. Maybe something like this. Let's take a look. I think this is pretty good actually. Maybe you could make a case for like the lower block being a bit odd, but I think it's a good idea that we have something that covers like the candles, right? It adds a little bit of, yeah, darkness, like extra darkness to the center of the iris, so I like it. It looks good. Now I did also say that we were going to do something about the sides here, And I'm not exactly sure what we're exactly gonna do, because we can't terraform this too much without like impacting the view of the entrance that we're getting from up there. So maybe we can change a few blocks out, like some of the grass for stone here in the entrance. I think that could work. Maybe some andesite. Other than that, I'm not quite sure actually. I definitely don't think we can change too many things in like a terraforming sense, but I definitely think that the things that we mentioned about andesite and stuff like that can definitely work out. Alright, I've picked up some blocks. Now let's see what we can do with them here. I think something like this has to go. And I'm gonna be a bit careful here to not destroy too much at a time. So I think we can get away with something like this. I think that's okay. And then maybe change these blocks here for grass blocks. But no more than this. Because I think if we do any more than this, I don't think it will make sense. Maybe this one should be changed for deep slate, but I'll have to go pick up a block for that. I think some smooth stone is in order. And we can place down some andesite here. Something like this should be good, right? We have like the pillars extending into the ground and into sort of the descending slope here into the eye, while not like overdoing it as well, right? And having some of the grass edges here being still like visible and apparent. So I think this is like the sweet spot. Now, one thing I've also just gathered over by the sheep farm is some gray carpets here. And we're going to use those because they resemble like the basalt and the deep slate in its color scheme. And it also prevents mobs from spawning, which is really what we're interested in here. I feel like a lot of these places can't actually have mobs spawn, but when I built this in a testing world, I did see creepers spawning in here. And I think we should avoid that if we can. Alright, here we go. That's the final ones. And I think the rest will be covered by daylight when it's light out. So that won't be an issue, hopefully. We'll see. Now, with that said, I do think the entrance here is actually complete and it looks pretty good. So next up is going to be the stone bridge that's going to take us across and, well, eventually also take us across the river that's going to be flowing underneath, right? So now I'll quickly gather the materials for the bridge and let's get to building. Alright, so we're not going to be seeing a time lapse for this bridge here because not only did my game crash, which limited the amount of footage that I had, the remaining footage was also like really weird with a lot of black spots everywhere. So it looked like we were in a cave or something like that because everything was just dark until I slept and then it turned light again. But anyways, it doesn't matter. We have the bridge here and I'm quite happy with how it looks. It's like a nice arch, right? With some thicker bases here and then fins as like it goes towards the top, which makes sense because that's like less able to be supported. But still, like, we have a square meter of stone here, so it should be able to support our weight when we cross the bridge. And that's also what we're gonna do here. And we get this look, right? So if I just do it one more time with the HUD disabled, we can see this is the view that I'm going for of us crossing the bridge and seeing the iris here. So I'm very happy with how the eye has turned out. Now, one final thing I want to say is that inside of this cave entrance, like the entrance to the actual cave is currently looking like this. Maybe I'll change it, maybe I won't. Like, this was just an idea that I had, but there's a chance we customize it in the next episode because we need to have like a large cave opening. So maybe this suits, but it's debatable. And I'll experiment quite a bit with it before we start the next episode. Now, with that said and the cave entrance here in the background, I want to thank you guys for watching. I enjoyed making this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.